Hello, welcome to Revelate Alpha. Hope you're all well. So this show coming out live again in the afternoon here. What time is it now? It's just gone after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Just going to talk a little bit about motorcycle industry news and actually a story that I came across yesterday. But I think it was I think it was about 3 weeks ago this video was made. Interesting point of view from it, talking about Harley Davidson, particularly in Florida, but this is also replicated in other parts of the world as well, not only, let alone the United States. But the general feeling against the dealerships from Harley Davidson riders or potential Harley Davidson riders. But before I get into that, I'm going to go over a bit of motorcycle news here. Harley Davidson, coincidentally, this is all by coincidence, obviously they're in partnership with QJ Motor out of China for their X350, the X500 that they sell over there. Right, so the QJ Motor this year, and actually last year, but this year in particular, they're starting to try and put out more and more bikes into Europe, right? And they're trying to have much more of a presence. And they're coming in with great bikes, great value bikes, and not breaking the bank. You know, we're talking £6,000, £7,000, dollars, shekels, whatever you want to call it, right? But QJ Motor, they're just about to release their flagship model, the SRK 921. Which is coming in, and I can't remember what they said. £8,699, and this is very similar to the Yamaha MT-09 or the Kawasaki 900. A little bit cheaper than those, but matching it for tech. Now, of course, you've got to look at the styling. So let me just show you this and see what you think as well. Let me just make sure I've got this all up. Wrong one. Where are you? There we go. That one there. So this is the SRK. This is from Visor Down Motorcycle Magazine here in the UK. I do like Visor Down. I do like all the motorcycle publications. I'm not just promoting them at all. It's just equal share whenever I find the story. So here, this is the SRK naked bike. If you like that kind of thing, right? Okay. Which is a premium spec naked that's Chinese by name but Italian by style. So a lot of this is what I always talk about in terms of these Chinese brands. Never forget, a lot of them took over European brands in the past, so they still have a lot of European presence in terms of design and sort of spec, let's say. But then, you know, all the manufacturing, all the main stuff is all done in China. Anyway. So this is them. They've got lots of other bikes as well. I'll make a big play out of this because the reason why it was very noticeable at the big motorcycle live show here in the UK in November that QJ Motor had a big presence, biggish presence, let's say. But all the other Chinese imported motorcycle manufacturers had a much bigger presence under MotoGP, one of their big importers or one of the bigger distributors here in the UK. And everybody was astounded by the prices, the value that you were getting out of these bikes. So, you know, hence the reason. So it's priced at $8,699, comparable with the Yamaha MT-09 and the Kawasaki Z900. With similar torque figures, but those bikes are $9,810 and $9,199 respectively. So about £1,000-ish less than the Yamaha, and just a couple of £100, £200-300 less than the Kawasaki, right? I'm assuming that those are base models. But look, we've got naked QJ Motors 921 inline 4-cylinder engine. That produces 127.5 brake horsepower at 10,000 RPM, 69 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a quick shifter, and it's coming to UK dealers in March. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of these bikes on the market. It's got lots of, you know, good Italian or lots of Italian style in here, crafted by Italian designers, according to the Chinese company. Ball horn-shaped DRLs, daytime running lights. twin exhaust pipes, LEDs from both front and rear, dashboard with a 5-inch TFT display. Premium specs include fully adjustable Mazzocchi upside-down forks, which are complemented by matching adjustable rear shock, an adjustable steering damper. It's all part of it as well. Stopping power, 4-piston radial Brembo calipers. Twin discs at the front, 320mm with a rear disc of 260mm. Bosch 6-axis IMU system, handles corner and ABS, and it's switchable traction control. It just goes on and on and on here. Look, it's the point I make of these, or try and release this information to you, or bring it to a wider audience possibly if you don't read these magazines, is to always show that there are manufacturers there now, not only Western manufacturers but also from China and India, who in my opinion are bringing motorcycles to the market that are definitely making people think. And if they're making people think about either going away from another brand and going to these brands, or just leaping to them in the first place, and they're coming in on price and they're definitely coming in and making it good value, then these are manufacturers who are going to be driving the whole industry forward. I'm not saying they're going to be the ones that are going to save it in many ways. I'm not sure if it necessarily needs saving, but certainly in terms of the numbers. There's another interesting thing here from, I believe, here again, another thing from Visor Down. Let me just quickly show the article here. It would basically say UK sales motorcycles bounce back, or UK motorcycle sales bounce back in January. And that's the article. I'm sure go and read it for yourself and you'll have a good idea. But the point here is that a lot of these sales figures are skewed not only by low CC motorcycles, but also, which are cheap, but also larger CC motorcycles, which are a lot cheaper as well in terms of those Chinese imports, those Indian imports that are coming in through. Royal Enfield, QJ Motor, Vogue, to name but just a couple here. So a lot of the sales are coming from those, whether small CC or large CC, but the common thing that they have is that they're relatively cheap or a lot cheaper than the other bikes. So really interesting stuff there. Stark, the electric motorcycle manufacturer here, they're saying that they've had a really great start to the year. The Stark future kicks off the 2026 with a triple-digit growth. I mean, it goes into the whole funding and everything like that of the company. Don't forget, Stark have produced that Stark Varg, that electric motocrosser bike. They've got some other bikes in the offing as well. So very interesting stuff from them. Zero motorcycles here in the UK. They've launched this, or just about to launch this electric scooter, very similar to the Harley Davidson ones that were being proposed as well a while back. The Livewire, I should say, the Livewire. Very similar to that. Electric scooter. It actually looks very similar in design, in all fairness. But this is Zero LS1 urban scooter, £4,500. I mean, the article goes on to say, look, what its main attributes were. You can have two-up riding, that kind of thing. Great for urban riding. We know all this stuff. So it's, I think we could all agree that for city riding, no emissions, quiet riding, going through the city streets, they're great. They're perfect. And especially, I love scooters for built-up ride, town riding or city ride. I think they're great. So, if you'd asked me years ago about electric bikes, I would say I've always said electric bikes, city riding, street, town riding, very short distances, great, no problem, got no problem with them. It's the longer distances that I think there's not only an issue in terms of value for money, but also in terms of usability, function as it were. But my mind is being changed every day on those as well. But anyway, they're coming in with that. They're saying how great they are with that. You know, again, you got to look at £4,500. Do you really want that, or do you want to go with something else? Again, you know, it really depends what your views are. Okay, so that's a little bit about the motorcycle news right now. I'm just going to go on and talk about... get rid of that. I'm just going to talk about Harley Davidson here, because this was really interesting, and I won't go too long to it. I just want to put it out there and let's see what you think about this. I saw a video is it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, 2 or 3 weeks old, and you know, I'm not saying if it was factual, but I thought it was a really interesting decision point. So I'm not saying this is fact. I'm not saying anything else. But basically what they were saying, or the premise was that the dealerships in Florida, but I know this from other states as well, and other areas of the world, a lot of them are closing down, and there's a big backlash from the Harley Davidson riders out there, because they've felt so long that they've been ripped off by dealerships in terms of servicing, in terms of pricing and everything. Florida has a specific issue. The issue was this, that they got a lot of tourism down there. They got a lot of winter traffic. In other words, people going down to Florida for the winter from, you know, colder temperatures, let's say. So what that does was that brings in seasonal riders who buy bikes or rent bikes in those winter months, let's say, then they go back home. One of the problems is that since COVID, apparently, less and less of this mobility into the winter months has happened. Also, tourism has gone down as well overall, which has affected the amount of people going in. On top of that, you got, Bike Week, Daytona Bike Week, which is coming up soon, isn't it? They're saying that people have been ripped off time and time again, that people are just shying away from it, and shying away particularly from Harley Davidson. That void is also being filled by the likes of Triumph, BMW, Indian motorcycles, to name but a few. There's also this other aspect that in Florida, it's not always been, but a lot, especially the younger crowd coming up, were staying away from Harley Davidson. They are more getting into the sports bikes and stuff like that. So the whole premise of this video was that for 30, 40 years or 30 odd years, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, that you've got dealerships who have been outpricing and not taking care of customers, because a lot of them were transient and they didn't care about them. You could go into dealerships, and he gives lots of examples. You're going into a dealership, and just because of the way you dress or your age or the way you look or whatever it is, or you might not have the highest financial rating, credit score, you're immediately snubbed. Whereas you get some older guy come in, all of a sudden the sales staff are bending over backwards. It's exactly the same about getting parts, overinflated parts. And this could be a particular thing for Florida, but I also know that this has happened in other parts of the world as well. And we all know about the Harley Davidson tax, and we all know that specifically in the United States, how they add that sales tax, on top of the recommended retail price by dealerships. So, you can start adding up £3,000, £4,000, $5,000 in your case, to the price of a motorcycle just because of the dealership fees. So, we went on to servicing and things like that, and it's the way it was portrayed. You would wonder why Harley Davidson have got any customers left at all. Really, you wonder, well, if this is the way they're treating customers, and those customers have definitely said that's it, we're enough. We're rejecting the whole Harley Davidson thing. We're not coming there again. We're not going anywhere near it, and they're going to other motorcycles instead. Or they're just going into the used bike market, not going anywhere near dealerships. And then you factor in, well, why are these dealerships closing? Well, it's because of reduced footfall, right? It's reduced people going into the dealerships. They've got these massive overheads on these massive buildings, and there's more value in the building itself or the land that they sit on than running a dealership. That's why they're closing. This is not just Florida. This is all over the world, let's say. Prime real estate is worth more as a business concept, as a money making scheme, rather than running a motorcycle dealership. It's the same here in the UK. It's the same around Europe. You know, motorcycle dealerships and car dealerships I find it really difficult to turn profits without having to raise their prices over and over again. And that, you know, it's one feeds the other. You know, costs go up, they feel they have to, you know, put the prices up. One of the big problems with the big dealerships, obviously they cost a lot more to run anyway, so they have to make that extra margin just to cover the cost as well, which isn't good for the customer. At the end of the day, it just isn't good. And if you're making the customer pay more and more for what they perceive as a worse service, or the same service at least, or the same product, then they're not going to be happy about it. It'd be very, very interesting to see what other people think about this, what they think about the whole notion that, you know, people are rejecting the big brands, or rejecting brands like Harley Davidson, and in certain areas they couldn't care less whether a dealership closed or not. You just say, well, good riddance to them. I think this is definitely a wake-up call for any business, regardless of whether you're a motorcycle business, a car, you know, whether you're selling teacups, it doesn't make any difference. The number one thing that everybody should always acknowledge is that you've got to take care of your customers. You've got to take care of those that come through the door, but especially those that haven't come through the door and you want to try and get them through the door. It doesn't matter what somebody looks like. It doesn't matter. Now, actually, there's been quite a few high-profile cases recently of kids of celebrities. Nobody knows the kids, right? You know, teenagers, early 20s, whatever, going into high-profile shops in, you know, New York, let's say, or Los Angeles or whatever, Beverly Hills, and they're getting the pretty woman treatment. They're getting totally rejected by the staff and treated really badly because nobody knows who they are. And then all of a sudden, the celebrity dad or the celebrity mother comes in and say, "What the hell's going on?" You know, and it's just, and then they you know, say, "Oh, we can sell you anything you want or give you anything you want." And he said, "Well, why don't you treat my child like that?" You know, so I think a lot of people are waking up to this, and they should have woken up to this years ago, that you got to treat everybody with exactly the same way. Now, because the situation in Florida, according to this video, that the footfall has dropped so much that that the dealerships are trying to bend over backwards to call you in for servicing, to call you in for, you know, for deals, you know, on new bikes. It's interesting, isn't it? They say, well, when you want them, they will just spit on you. But when they need you, they want your support. And they'll pull on those heartstrings, or those who believe they're loyal to the brand, they'll pull on that to say, we need your support. We need your support. Well, you know, are you reciprocating that? You know, and the thing is, you know, businesses will fail based upon lots of different variables, right? There's lots of different reasons why businesses fail. But one of the big reasons is if you don't treat those customers correctly, they won't come back to you. And the most important thing is they will tell their friends. They will tell their friends what a terrible experience they've had, or what a great experience they've had. And that's the thing. And you will have I even had an email yesterday, whenever it was, from a guy, nice chap, and very nice email in terms of, you know, politeness, pleasantness, or whatever. That's irrelevant, I suppose. But he was just asking, well, you know, where'd you get what dealerships are near you and everything like that, because ones near me have closed down, And I can say, well, the ones near me are open, but this one over there has got a really good reputation, right? So he said, okay, I'll check them out. But that's the point. The point is that you're asking a stranger, or you're asking a friend, oh, do you know of a good dealership nearby, or a good place to get my bike worked on and get serviced? Oh yeah, that place down there, really, really good. Go check them out. Word of mouth, every single time, word of mouth. And I don't know why businesses ignore that. They spend so much money on marketing and everything, but if you just took care of your customers and gave them the best possible deal and the best possible buying experience and the best possible attention that you could, then they'll come back again. They'll come back again and again and again. The problem is there are hard times for everybody. The motorcycling industry is no different. And this also comes back to the kind of products that they're selling, right? We all know that. We've talked about it infinitum in terms of prices of Harley Davidsons and other brands that are selling big bikes. And the fact that the problem is Indian and Harley Davidson, they don't sell cheap bikes really. Or really, they don't really sell entry-level cheap bikes. And that's their problem. But treating those, you know, those existing customers of certain years, well, then they're not going to put up with it. They're not going to put, and they haven't put up with it for a long time. Anyway, listen. I thought that I'd let you into that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think about that. I thought it was really interesting as an outsider who I don't know, giving you this really negative spin on something. And I'm saying, well, things I've seen this and I've identified it and I've heard about this in so many different areas. So it's not just one area. Now, you could be living in a place like Florida and you say, no, this is a load of rubbish. This isn't true at all. So, you know, I personally don't know of this specific situation, but, you know, I would not be surprised. But if we took it as an indicator of the whole business, then you say, well, yeah, globally, dealerships are closing down. Globally, they're really expensive bikes. People are shying away from big, expensive purchases in terms of numbers. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. If you like what I do here, keep on watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Sorry I haven't got into the chat today, but it was just a quick video, quick live show to let you in on this and see what you think. Right, let us know in the comments below. As I say, I will be doing more live shows later on, and get my screen working in the back, which I can see is not working very well. I don't know what's going on. Gremlins again. Right, catch you again. Another video, live show coming very soon. Bye now.